Okay, I made a part 2 because I feel like YouTube will never upload it if it's over 10 minutes, so I'm just cutting these off at 10 minutes. So if you enjoyed my first ramblings, here's a part 2 for you. So what was I going to say? Okay, so we're talking about Gemini into Cancer, and this was really the pivotal thing that I think I wanted to mention, because I've never heard it explained like this. However, I have felt it like this. So I went through how long of my Gemini ascendant, I don't know, but I have now, and I'm not sure exactly what the date was, but I am currently a Cancer ascendant 6 degrees. So I've not been in my Cancer ascendant for very long. And I am interested to know, in 2017, if that was related to my transition from Gemini to Cancer. I need to go back and look at that, because in 2017, on the night before I delivered my 5th child, which that right there is a huge transition, to go from childbearing to, okay, I'm done. My body, my mind, everything was just shutting down. It was like, we can't have any more kids, lady. We've got to go and have this child, and after that, you're done. And you're literally done. That's what my older sons always say. But that is what my body was telling me. I woke up Thanksgiving night of 2017 with a panic attack. What I realize now was a panic attack. At that moment, I did not know what that was. I didn't know what was happening to me. I just knew that I woke up. I had his little feet were pushing on either my ribs or my gallbladder. I don't know. I did have to get my gallbladder out a few months after delivering him, because I started having attacks. But the thought entered my mind, I can't stop this pain from happening. And that thought was so strong, so repetitive, and it would not leave, that I was so shaken by that I was walking around my house thinking, okay, I could barely breathe. I wanted to go outside and get some fresh air. I was so shook. I was so shook by it that in trying to open the doorknob, I could not open the doorknob to my own house, because I was just so beside myself with, this rush of, unproductive thinking and insistent type of thinking. So I am wondering if I was at the anoretic or perilous degree of Gemini at that point, because my mind, it was like my mind was so, the thought, my own mental activity was just over and beyond what I could handle, what I could process. It was so insurgent, so insistent, so plaguing, perilous, that, I begged my husband, I begged my mother at different times, please take me to the emergency room. This is more than I can handle. This is more than I can process or stand, or I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know if I'm really having a physical, my body and my mind are just, I don't know what's happening. It was terrifying. It was terrifying. And those panic attacks, they were sheer terror. They really were. I hate to be a downer, but that's what it was. That's what it felt like. So I'd like to say they've completely gone away. However, I struggled really hard for about a year. And in that year, I learned a lot of things. My husband and my mother were just adamant about me not seeking medical help for it, with the fear that I would get addicted to some sort of medication. So I tried to get through it and white knuckle it and, whatever. And I am not suggesting that anyone do that. I'm not. Totally not. If you're in a situation where you have to, I don't know what to say except for it's okay to ask for help, and it's just okay. So, but within that, I was able to learn ways of dealing with the insurgent thoughts and ways of kind of calming my mind. Some of them very simple, like doing yoga, listening to guided meditations on YouTube, just pick one that sounds right, whatever. I would do that. But sometimes it just boiled down to me just telling myself that it was okay, that I was having all these thoughts. And this is where the Cancer part comes in. And this is something I haven't really started understanding until very recently. And that is to sort of let your thoughts come into your emotions. I think that's something Geminis don't do. I think we don't know much about our emotions. And I feel too we're kind of suspect of our emotions, scared of our emotions. Maybe it's because if my emotions are going to be sorry, there's a trooper up here. Keep in mind, I also had the North Node, and I was potentially, switching over from, being at that excess of that energy, which is how I've heard it described. So anyway, so that was really weird. There was a patrolman back there that's going 5 miles under the speed limit, and there was a long line of vehicles behind him, and so I just see this long line of vehicles going slower, and so I'm passing him, and I actually started passing the trooper, and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? But I was only doing the actual speed limit, so I wasn't really doing anything wrong. But it's so funny because there's a line of cars behind him that I guess are scared to go, and honestly, if I had been right behind him, I would have been exactly the same and scared to go. So so I don't know, that's my current situation. Stay tuned for part 3 if you want.